So welcome everybody. Whether you're ready or not, we are wrapping up June. Can y'all believe this? We are wrapping up June, where we have been focused on debt the entire month. We are getting ready for July, where we are getting ready to challenge our monthly expenses. So thank you for tuning in with us this evening. Tiana, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yay. Okay. Welcome, ladies. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to dive on in. This will be recorded and shared in the community so that you can watch it again, or if you want to invite some homegirls, cousins, sisters, mamas. It is ladies only in the community, but please invite people to join, and we are going to dive on in. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see
okay.
it. Yep.
Right. Wonderful. So today for our money mindset masterclass, as Jini mentioned, we did have to push this back, but it's all good. So we're going to tackle, it's a 2-in-1. So you ladies are in for a treat. We're going to talk about challenging your debt and how you could pay that off to kind of build on what we've been talking about this month. And then we're going to preview our July topic, which is challenging your monthly expenses. So they kind of support each other, because if you do challenge your monthly expenses, such as reassessing your budget, negotiating with service providers, you could use that money to pay off debt or to pay for a travel experience or whatever you want to use it for. So we're going to talk about how to set the tone for next month and how you could challenge your debt and monthly expenses. So diving on in. I'm Tiana. I work at Thank Me Later along with Jini and Lauren, who's on the call, and Ani, not sure if she's here, and shout out to Courtney, just shouting out the whole team. So what we do at Thank Me Later is we help specifically Black women create financial freedom 1 month at a time. So you'll see that we are based upon a 12-month system to really help you know what to focus on. So gonna going beyond paying your bills on time, things like that, and to really attack different areas of your finances that you may not be able have thought about, or that you may not know when to prioritize. So we kind of take the guesswork out to make it easy for you and to be able to create financial freedom on your own terms. So we have monthly programming such as this, in addition to our real life series, which you can catch up on all of our content in the community. So if you're new to the community, definitely take some time to look through. We have so much content in there for the real life series, such as what to do when your teen starts driving, or what to do if someone in your family passes away. We cover different life events that have a financial impact. So definitely go and check that out. And then we have the community, as you all are members of. So what you need for this Money Mindset Masterclass, if you haven't attended one of these before, welcome. If you have, welcome back. So this is all about kind of the mindset that you need to actually do the work. So we could give you a to-do list of things to do, but if you're not in the right mind frame to actually do it, it just makes it a little more challenging. So definitely want to have an open mind and just have a level of self-awareness to really assess where you are with no judgment. So not assigning emotion to however you feel about your debt or signing emotion to your bills, but just acknowledging where you are and the steps that you want to take to be able to reach your financial goals. So in addition to open mind and self-awareness, you'll need your cell phone. We use an awesome tool called Mentimeter. We don't have a ton of Menti slides here for this session because we wanted to keep it really robust and give you guys some tips. But this we'll put on the slide of like how to sign into Menti, but this is pretty much our tool to get some engagement from you all. Feel free to engage in the chat if anything resonates with you, things like that. But we will share a Menti. If you guys can mute your devices, that'd be great. So we will share Menti. So you'll just need your cell phone and we'll show you the code that you need to be able to log in. Super easy. And it's just a fun way to get some engagement with the audience. And then you don't necessarily need this for the masterclass, but just want to put a note that we have each month we create these awesome downloads or handouts to guide you through the topic. So we have published the June topic, the June download. Lauren will drop it in the chat. And we also published we will be publishing the July download, but because you're on this call, you get a sneak peek. So Lauren will drop that into the chat as well. So to just kind of take a minute, take a breather, settle in, and we'll get started. So we are launching a book. I'm so excited about this project. It's been a beautiful journey to see it all.
Thank you for saying beautiful. Thank you. We're not going to assign an emotion to the journey, just like you just tell people don't assign an emotion to your debt or your finances. We're not going to assign an emotion to our journey. It's just we've been on a journey, y'all.
It's been a journey. We've all learned a lot,
but it's been beautiful though.
Yes, beautiful. It has been, and I will give Jini an opportunity to talk about it for a brief minute. We'll kind of want to just kind of release, because we've been talking about it for those who may have taken the survey to get some feedback. So this is what we've been working on behind the scenes at Thank Me Later. So we'll dive in later on a bit more about the book and what you can anticipate, but want to share the book cover and give Jini an opportunity to chat through. Jini, if there's anything you want to say, I know we go in a little bit more detail of what folks will actually get from the book, but is there anything you want to share about this project?
Well, it's been a labor of love. We've been working on it a long time. It's a collaboration. It's not our book. It's a collection of subject matter experts that you all have seen engage with us in the Thank Me Later community. And yes, our goal was to grab your attention. And that's why the title is what it is. Take care of your damn self. How to graduate your young adult off of your parent payroll. Y'all don't realize this is like one of the #1 issues that adult women, of course, these are women over 45. This is the #1 issue that they engage with us about, that they can't live the life that they want based on how long they're supporting, or we are supporting our children. So I'm super excited. So hang on to the end, and we're going to show you or give you some excerpts from the book. So it's not like cut your kids off and let them figure it out. How do you empower them? What do they need to know? How do you guide them so they can be self-sufficient, independent, and prepared to be off of your parent payroll? So thank you, Luella. You love the title. Look, we want you all to take care of your damn self. We want your kids to take care of their damn selves. But it's like, hey, it is so important. We didn't want to be like, oh, this is cute. Just get your kids off your payroll. No. Take care of yourself. They are grown. Take care of yourself. So we'll get into it later. All right, Tiana, next slide. I can talk about this the whole segment.
Yes. And if you guys are interested in some type of preview event or conversation, we're still ironing out what our programming will look like upon this book launch. So feel free to drop in the chat if there's anything in particular that you would want to be able to, we're talked about like a table read with some of the SMEs. We have tons of ideas, but definitely want to make sure that any programming that we're developing is what you all want. So
book club, like what are y'all thinking? Like how can we engage with y'all? And if you're having problems or some challenges with your adult children, or maybe they're teenagers, or someone in your family is like, how can you all engage with us so we can guide you all?
Yes. And then if I'll just say, I know we're going to talk about the book later, but what I really love about this project is that even if you don't have kids, right? Like I'm 30, so I don't have any kids, but I feel like this book is great for me to teach my nieces about financial literacy and just kind of feel empowered to teach myself about financial literacy. That taxes chapter, I was like, ooh, I needed this in my life. So even if you do not have children, feel empowered to teach younger generations in your family about this topic, and also to learn about it yourself. So just to kind of let you know, this book has something for everybody, I would say. All right, so preview of the book, we'll talk about it a little bit more. So just to kind of level set, as I mentioned earlier, we do have based everything around a 12-month calendar. So this is just kind of letting us know where we are. So we've kind of addressed all of these other topics. Feel free to go back in the community. We've been doing these money mindset master classes every month since January. So that's awesome. So feel free to go back if you need a refresher or if you hadn't seen it for some of these other topics. But today we're going to focus on debt and challenging your monthly expenses. All right. So what's the goal for today? So a lot of y'all, I know I feel like how Beyonce was in the Bills video of just like, I'm giving my money to all these service providers. It's auto drafted out of my account. It's just like, whew, why am I spending so much on life, right? So we want to talk to today, what's the mindset, the strategic mindset that you need to renegotiate your bills and to pay off debt. And then also give you some tips that if you are in debt, like how can you address that head on, some resources for that, in addition to discovering how you can reduce your monthly expenses. We're super excited about the monthly expenses focus because we will have a challenge, which we'll talk about in a little bit, so that we can reward you all for paying off for negotiating your monthly expenses. And we'll talk through what monthly expenses may be that you may be able to negotiate. But that's what our goal is for this Money Mindset Masterclass. All right, so developing the strategic mindset that you need to pay off debt and renegotiate your bills. So I think it's super important to first really evaluate what you say about debt and your monthly expenses. And there's just so much power in our words and what we say or what we write, so feel free to chime in the chat if you guys have said any of this. Like, I know as I was creating the slide, I was like, this was me, this was my mama. So with debt, I can't deal with it, or debt is just a part of life. It's just a part of the American life. Everybody has debt, or I'll never get out of debt. Off with monthly expenses, you may say something like, this is what my mama used to say all the time: I feel like I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, or I'm broke as a joke, or I'm just trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. We say these things and we are just attracting more debt or attracting more not being able to really afford our lifestyle or things like that. So just want to be mindful of what we say and know that our words have power, and to be able to just kind of catch ourselves if we are saying things. So quick little story. I remember I was talking to someone a creator in the Atlanta community about something creative. And I mentioned that I was broke. And she was like, don't ever say that. Take broke out your vocabulary. And ever since then, I'm just very mindful of not saying that I'm broke. I may be frugal, that may be a better way to say it, but to say you're broke is just attracting more brokenness. So definitely want to be more mindful of what we're saying about debt and our expenses.
One thing, Tiana, I was thinking about to hear you say that also is, at what point do we listen to or challenge what our norms? I think just some things that we think are normal, but who set the standard of what is normal? Who set the standard of who can or cannot be debt free? Why is this so aspirational and only a few people can live this way? That living paycheck to paycheck is normal, but where did these norms come from? And just before you just kind of get in the rhythm of yeah, this is the way life is this the way that you want your life to be? Is it the way you want your life to be? So again, just being awareness of what you think, what's normal for your family. I mean, obviously we can't change our families, how we were raised, but just all the messaging that we have gotten as to where we are and why we are where we are. And just one generation after the other, we just continue that same behavior and mindset.
So true. It ends with us. It can, but we got to be mindful of what we're saying. So that leads us to our money mantra. So I want you guys to say it with me, even if you're on mute. I have the power to tell my money what to do. I have the power to tell my money what to do.
Mm.
So let's hone in on the power. Like, it's the power of the tongue. We have the power to tell our money what to do. So even if right now you're like, girl, I hear you, but like, I got all these bills and I got all this debt, you still have the power to tell your money what to do, and the power to create a plan to get out of the debt, a power to create a plan to negotiate your monthly expenses, to try couponing and just different tactics that you can do to take more control over your money. So want you to feel empowered that though the situation that you may be in now is not ideal potentially, know that you have the power to change it.
Right. And then when I also hear you say that, Tiana, and I'm also paying attention what's being dropped in the chat, we're always trying to, like, we have this pie, right? This pie represents a certain amount of money, and we're trying to live the life of our dreams, or just to sustain with the pie. And for a lot of us, the pie is not enough.
We need a little bit more pie.
Some of us need a little bit more pie. Some of us need a lot more pie. And so we need to be focused on what mindset do we have about generating or creating more income. So it's really important that we look at that on both sides, not just about what's going out, but also what's also coming into us. Which shifts do we need to make to get our head right to do that? So I have to tell people this all the time, Tiana, just because you talk about money and you teach about money, people sometimes assume that I've never struggled. I struggled a lot, especially probably till maybe my mid-30s. Straight struggle. And I think it's important that, so when you're telling me about the times that, where you have had problems, I don't want you to think that I'm talking from a place that my life has always been perfect and I've always had it all figured out. Yes, I've always been an accountant. Yes, this is what I studied in college, but having a baby in college just kind of changed my finances, like, out the gate. I started off like way in the hole. So, and to be able to pull out of that, but it didn't start to click for me until I got my mind right. I knew the technical stuff.
Right.
My mind was not right. And when I got my mind right, then I was able to execute very differently. So we're going to talk about your questions and comments that you have in the chat.
I just had a quick little follow-up question that came to mind. Is there like one or two things that you did to get your mind right?
I think for me, initially, it was that I needed to give myself permission for my life to be different. Because when you've struggled for so long, that struggle just becomes normal for you.
Struggle mentality, yeah.
I had a struggle mentality. And so struggle was just normal for me. And so then I was like, I had to begin to see myself in my life differently. Because again, head down, always struggling, just enough to get by or barely get by. Yeah. And so I'm just like, I can't continue to live like this. But Tiana, which is interesting to me, even once I started doing better, I brought my struggle mentality with me for a while. So that turned into fear for me. Because then I was always afraid because I've been struggling for so long. Then once we started doing better, you don't want to lose it. So I'm constantly in this state of fear. And I was an entrepreneur too. So just trying to kind of keep all the balls in the air. Then I'm like, wait a minute. I cannot walk this fear faith thing at the same time. Like, what is it that I want? What mindset changes? And then what behavior changes? I knew what to do, but honestly, I didn't have the discipline. I just didn't have the discipline. So I was just out here kind of finessing all around versus saying, okay, I need some discipline. And to me, discipline isn't punishment. Discipline means to be a disciple. That means commitment. So I had to change my mindset and say, you know what, this is the life that I want. This is the life I want for my children. Let me define the life that I want for myself. And when I started clicking and I was willing to change my habits, and get my mind right, then things began to pick up for me. But I had to get ready for the money to come. Versus me just saying, okay, I got it together. Like, I had to get my head right for it to come. I began to treat that season as my season of preparation. Like, okay, what do I need to do to make sure that I'm good? But I mean, I struggled easily, let me see, probably till about, my early 30s. So I've had my first child at 21. So 21, probably a good 11 or 12 years we struggled.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. Cause I do think when like working with you, I've learned a lot about your journey, but
Right.
I could imagine, people see you on the Willie Moore Jr. show and
Right.
Mickey Smiley, and she got it all together. And it's like, I mean, I learned a lot and
I
I'm
learned a
sharing from
lot.
experience. So
Absolutely.
thank you
In
for sharing
life, because that's the thing. It has nothing to do with how smart I was. I went to college.
that.
I came from a family, a very stable, a very economically stable family. But life just happened for me like it happens for a lot of us. I wasn't ready. So I started out behind. I just started off behind. So I had to catch up based on where my life had me. And I was so busy whining about my life versus saying, girl, this is what you got going on. But we need to double down and do what we have to do.
Right. Love that. Okay, thank you for that, Janai. And if you guys have questions for Janai about this topic, feel free to drop them in the chat. We do have Q&A at the end, so we will address them all there. All right, going back to sharing my screen. Okay, so now we'll talk a bit about how to assess ways to decrease your debt head on. So I'll kind of run through these, but Jen, I would love for you to spend a little bit more time talking about them and if any strategies you would recommend. So some of your debt payoff options. One, you have options. So about the snowball method, Janai, could you share about what that?
Okay, so snowball means, and I'm going to say this to all of y'all, so please don't receive this the wrong way. There is nothing that we're going to talk about that's new to you. I promise you, you're not probably going to have one major aha moment. Right now, it's just a matter of what choice can you make based on where you are. So Tiana, only thing I'm going to say is, even before we get to the snowball method and all these methodologies, the first thing that we all do wrong, or not going to say we all, a lot of us do wrong, is we don't even want to face how much we owe. I'm like, tell me the number. Like, that was real for me. Like, where am I? If you're in Georgia, but you want to drive to California, you got to know that you're in Georgia. You can't start out like you're in St. Louis, you're not in Houston. Like, please know exactly what you owe. Even if you think it's going to make you nauseous to see it. Please do that first. And then what Tiana said, can we look at that number and begin to work not to assign an emotion to that number? Why can't we just kind of treat it as a number? I'm not saying you know how to fix it, but we got to watch the emotion. So snowball method, we're just going to list all of our bills, right? And then we're going to say, we're going to pay off the one. We're going to put together a strategy to pay off the one with the lowest balance. So you have 4 credit cards, just going to list them all out. The one with the lowest balance, you're going to pay the minimum balance on your other 3 cards, but that 4th card, you're going to pay as much as you can extra. A lot of times too, with credit card debt specifically, if you've been paying on time, you have been with them for a long time, call them and see if they'll offer you a lower interest rate. Call them and ask for a lower interest rate. That's a great way to pay off credit card debt faster. Can you get a lower rate? Now, you've been paying late. It's been a little interesting. Probably won't have as much flexibility, but that's a good thing to do. You want me to keep going down the list, or are you going to toss it to me?
Yeah, you can keep going.
Okay. All right. Increasing your income. Man, this is what changed my life, ladies. I worked in corporate America, was at KPMG. I was a tax accountant. Them people were trying to kill me, Jesus. But when I stepped out and started my own business, I was able to increase my income. It didn't happen magically overnight, but then that was my key to getting out of debt, because I had more money coming in and I did not change my lifestyle. Okay. So you are more skilled than you can ever believe. You are, but you got to begin to think differently. How can you generate some income? You generate some income, do not increase your lifestyle. You can begin to tackle that debt. So that's huge. Now, if you're struggling, like Janai, I can't even hear all that. I'm behind. It ain't gonna happen. I need wise counsel. Please don't call them random debt payoff. We're gonna help you. The only place I want you to call is NFCC.org, National Foundation for Credit Counseling. Okay, so check them out first. We don't get paid from them, not a dime. We don't have an affiliate link. We don't get any kickbacks, nothing. We get 0, 0, 0. But check them out first. Go to their website. Those are the only people that we recommend that you check out. All right. Please call your creditors. Loss of job, somebody in your family is sick, you're struggling, you're behind. Call your creditors immediately. Credit card, utility, mortgage, please call them, because particularly if you're not behind yet, tell your own story. And begin to negotiate some different terms, lower payments, a lower interest rate. They can tack on the debt to the end. But if you're really struggling, because I saw someone saying how they're living off of their credit card right now, that's a sign. That's a sign to say, hey, need to pay attention to what's going on right now. You may want to have a consultation with NFCC.org to say, what can you do? You know, you might need some debt counseling, some credit counseling. Maybe they can help you negotiate some different terms with your creditors. But I want you to realize that is not normal. What advice do you have for paying off student loan debt? Same thing. NFCC.org. They also do student loan counseling. So apparently President Biden is going to make his decision by August 31st, how much federal student loan debt will be forgiven. So don't be sitting around just waiting. You have to get a plan together. Somewhere between $5,000 and $50,000 is going to be given, but we should know that by August. That way you'll know what that number is. But call them and just have a conversation with them and find out how they do their student loan counseling. All right. So I saw something in the comment, I think it was Jacinta, that said NFCC.org was good. So again, trust but verify. You know, we're suggesting them, what can you lose by going on their website or, you know, scheduling a consultation with them. Please do that. I think I covered all that, Tiana.
You did. Thank you for that. And we have another slide that we can run through just to give you guys a little bit more about NFCC. So we'll get to that shortly, in addition to some resources in the community. So we did last year, had a session with a representative from NFCC to talk about, I believe she talked about bankruptcy, student loans, some other topics. There's a slide that we'll talk through how to find those resources. But again, kind of go back to the community to listen to those and to check out NFCC for yourself. All right, so I'll walk through these questions, and Janai, feel free to chime in if there's anything else.
Okay.
But this is kind of a checklist, questions to ask yourself to determine if your debt is a little too big for you to manage on your own. So if the snowball method sounds good, but you don't feel like you can do that because you're drowning in debt, and you feel like there's no way out, that's the sign that your debt might be a little bit too big for you to manage on your own, and you need help from someone like an organization like NFCC. Thinking through, have you tried to set up a payment plan, but it hasn't worked out? And also, is there a recent life event, such as a layoff, someone got sick, as Janai mentioned, that you know is going to put you behind or more in debt? These are some questions to help you kind of get ahead, or to kind of make sure you get the help that you need.
Yeah. No shame in getting the help.
It's there, because like, why not tap into it? So this is just a few things about NFCC. Again, we are not sponsored by them or anything. It's just a trusted resource that Janai recommends. So NFCC is a nonprofit financial counseling organization that can help you get out of debt. They said between 24 to 60 months. Some of the ways that they can provide support is a credit card, emergency credit card help, helping you create a debt payoff, debt management plans, home ownership counseling, foreclosure prevention and counseling. So how can you get ahead of that? Bankruptcy counseling. So if you're considering filing for bankruptcy, definitely will want to talk to NFCC before you make any moves so that they can help you evaluate what options you might have.
Yeah. And Tiana, I saw a question in the chat about how NFCC gets paid.
Okay.
And typically what will happen is that, again, they're working with you with your creditors. So you want to have absolute clarity on how they get paid. Typically what they're doing is they, because they're nonprofit, they typically are getting paid from the Visas, American Expresses, the creditors. Okay. So, but you're going to have a payment plan. This is not your debt is going to magically go away. This is not bankruptcy where the debt is gone. You're going to end up on a payment plan with them. Now they're going to help you negotiate lower interest rates. You typically, they don't guarantee that if you owe 10,000 that they're going to get the amount down to 5,000. But they normally are going to make some level of guarantee about being able to negotiate your interest rates down lower. So they will help you get on a payment plan. But again, ask all of your questions, because again, it's just an exploratory call. Get all the facts, schedule the time to get that done.
Absolutely. All right. So next up is talking through how can you reduce your monthly expenses. And so to start off, we are having a challenge next month. So get ready. It's going to be great. So we want to see how many or how much monthly expenses you might be able to renegotiate, cut down, and we would love for you all to participate in this challenge. So I will say we will send more information and specific details about how to be a part of this challenge. It will be on social media, it will be in the community, and we will send the email. But to kind of give you guys a preview, throughout the month of July, we want to renegotiate our monthly expenses. So the top winners will receive a copy of the book, in addition to a Thank Me Later swag bag. It'll be different tiers for the winners. So, it may depend on how much you renegotiate. So we really want to challenge you to renegotiate as many monthly expenses as you possibly can. To be a part of this challenge, all you need to do is at the end of the month is create a short video sharing what you did and how much you saved. And again, we'll give directions on where to submit that video, but essentially it'll be DMing it to us on social media or uploading it on Dropbox. So we'll send those directions, but we also would love for you to share what your plan is to use the money that you save. Like, do you want to pay off debt? Are you saving for a travel experience? Are you saving for retirement? So we would love to hear, what you plan to do with the money that you save. And throughout the month, we'll be sharing lots of resources to give you ideas, the script, just creative ways that you can save more. So excited for that challenge. More to come in July.
Tiana, let me just add one thing. One reason why I love that we're doing this, and you can go to the next slide, is this is an opportunity for all of us to have awareness, because so much of our lives are just set up on autopilot. Like everything is just kind of being automatically deducted, automatically drafted. So now you can lean in and you're like, I spent how much on what? It is shocking. I'm embarrassed. I was talking to the team last week because I'm kind of old school. I have to have a home phone, right? I mean, when I saw how much my home phone bill was, I thought I was going to die. I was like, this is insane. I am too embarrassed to say it out loud to y'all. That is on my list. But so much of our lives is on autopay and we're not adding it up. Like, wait a minute, I have Hulu, Netflix, and do
I really need all those?
Do I really need all of those? Like, I'm paying for what? This is a time for you to say, okay, I'm good, or this is crazy. Like, what am I doing? So that's why, when else do we take the time to pause and really look at what we have going out, so that way we can make some adjustments?
Absolutely. Yes. So this slide just kind of outlines some of the monthly bills you may be able to renegotiate. Totally don't want you, this is like not end all be all. So really assess, what expenses you have that you may be able to renegotiate, or just like, even if it's not a bill, but like ways that you, can save more money in different areas. So some of the ways you may be able to save next month is, your cable, your internet, subscriptions, a cell phone bill, utilities, gym memberships, home security. I know I need that. I just paying ADT. I don't even know what I'm paying for. I really don't. Barely using it. Credit cards, you can negotiate a lower interest rate. I'm definitely going to do that because of what you mentioned, Janai, earlier about, if you've been a loyal customer paying on time. I pay Bank of America faithfully. They don't need to be charging me 24%. Like, lower that bad boy.
Yes.
Car, homeowners, renters insurance. These are just some ideas. As mentioned, we do have a handout with more tips that goes into detail on like what you should actually be saying. So Lauren will drop that in the chat. And so get ready for this challenge, ladies. Like, we're doing it. We want to, give you a reward for the work you've done, but really the reward is the money that you're going to save by actually implementing and doing the work next month.
Yeah. The only caveat, Tiana, that I would like to add is at the end for the car, homeowners, renters insurance is this. Clearly we're on a budget. We only want to pay a certain amount. Be very careful about jumping between a bunch of different insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that it gets counted against you, but relationship does matter. Don't just be jumping just to save $10. Mm-hmm. Find out if your current company will meet the price that someone else is offering you, because it really will matter, particularly when you file a claim and they look you up and you have been, with 8 different places in the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. So again, just make sure you are comparing apples to apples and see if you can get what you need with your current provider before you just, shoot them the 2 fingers and you're out.
Mm-hmm. Good point. All righty. So that's all for the challenge in the monthly expenses and the debt. We'll address any Q&A shortly. Just kind of want to talk about the book a little bit more, but we will address your questions on the topics shortly. So to give you, sharing the book cover, the beautiful book cover again. So I'll run through these very quickly, but Jen, I would love for you to hone in on anyone in particular that you think is, really a big point. And I'm gotta adjust my screen a little bit because I can't see it all. So this is kind of a few takeaways that you'll get from the book. So in the book, we'll show you how to step down from financially supporting your young adult so that you don't feel like you need to like cut them off abruptly and don't have parent guilt from that, but like what is the process that is unique to you that to step down to not financially support them so much. We'll also help you identify what are the mindset shifts that you need to go beyond operating as mommy and daddy, well, mommy, because it's all ladies on the call, and step into your new role of coach. So we want you to kind of think differently about your role as a parent. And yes, you'll always be their mother, but you are not like tending to their every need once they become a young adult, and really empowering them to kind of grow up and to financially support themselves, but kind of helping you see what are some of the mindset shifts that you may need to make in order to do that. We'll have a step-by-step guide, as Janai mentioned, from the trusted subject matter experts in our dream team. So you've met a lot of them if you have been a part of the community. But really, these ladies will help you navigate topics such as taxes, insurance, financial aid, supporting your entrepreneurial child, just different topics that we've kind of brought the best of the best to help you navigate different situations. We also will have templates, which I think is so cool. So, it's one thing to give tips, give action items, but we're providing actual templates for you to implement these strategies. So for instance, if your young adult moves back home, how much to charge them rent, instead of just throwing out a random number, having a calculation from Ani, who's amazing on our team. She's an accountant. She is helping us like actually do the math so that we don't have to think about all that, but to be able to calculate these things. Or if you are sending them money while they're away at college, like how much can you actually afford to send them? So would have some templates. And then lastly, there'll be contracts so that you can really kind of set boundaries with your young adult. So kind of think like a prenuptial agreement. If they lose their college scholarship, then what? So, or if they decide to move back home, then what? So ironing out what are these agreements that need to be set in place before the situation happens so that everybody's on the same page of what will be the result if this does indeed happen. So those are a few takeaways, but I'll toss it to Janai and I would love to see your face and kind of have a conversation about it. So anything you want to share in particular?
As I was listening to you, my children, I have 2 adult sons. They will be 28 and 32 in July. And my son Cameron, he's my 28-year-old. I almost called him my baby. That was like, so here we go. That's where we messed up right there. He is not a baby. But what Cameron really helped me evolve from my role as mom to this new advisor, because Cameron, you always have that child. He's my outlier child. And so if once he got in his 20s, if he felt I was kind of overstepping my boundaries, say we're having a conversation about something, he'll be like, okay, Janai, and I'm like, oh my God. This is right. I'm his mother, but he is an adult, and him calling me Janai was his way of getting my attention and saying, I need you to kind of step back a little bit in his respectful, very sarcastic way. But then I realized that's my past too. So now when it's been flipped and he's called me and he's having some problems, y'all have kids, when your kids are kind of feeling you out. So I'm like, so why are you calling me? Is it that you just want me to you want to just kind of talk this through and bounce off of me? In the past, it would have been normal for me to just kind of step in and solve, like, here, let me help you fix this. So I'm like, nope. So he kind of helped set me free. But I think my mother helped set me free too, because my mom was a single parent. She adopted me and my brother as a single mom. And my mom was never married. And I think she was always paranoid something would happen to her before we became adults. So we had to become very self-sufficient very early. Like she needed to know that something happened to her, that we would be okay. So I had to learn a lot. Whenever my mom paid bills, I had to sit down with her. My mom bought a car, I went with her. My mom was getting her taxes done, I went with her. My grandfather died, there was a reading of the will, my mom took me. Someone said, sometimes I get bruh, I got it.
Desiree's on the call. Hey, Desiree, that's one of our subject matter experts.
Scholarship. Thank you, Desiree, one of our subject matter experts. That's our scholarship subject matter expert right there.
Bruh, I got it.
We need a guide to step into this new role. Nobody tells us how to stop parenting and then begin to start coaching. But then coach what? Like what legally, what are my rights when my child is now 18 years old? And I just don't have the right to their medical information anymore. I don't have the right to their grades in college. What about like medical decisions? Like, what do I need to have in place? Nobody told me that. Carol Jones, who is our insurance expert, she's a personal friend of mine. Thank God she was in my life to be like, girl, your kids, they need to have their own car insurance in their name. And let me tell you the reason why. If anything, they do anything, you don't want to be associated with that at all. Why put yourself at risk?
Right.
Because of how they're driving, even if it costs more. Like, what's the cost? What's the real risk here? So I fortunately have had these people around me that help me make some good decisions. But the rest of us don't have it. So we're like, here's the playbook, Mom. So if you got little people, you get it in advance. You don't have to kind of thug it out like the rest of us have. And had to a lot of trial and error. Like, this is what you need to do. Sabrina said, hallelujah.
Praise the Lord.
But the reality is, Tiana and everybody here, this book is really born out of a lot of pain. because there's nothing more difficult for me to see women who have worked hard, put in the work, raise their kids, and now they can't live how they want to. And it's because their children, they are still supporting their children like they are minors. Like, when does it stop? What are you going to do to make sure that you are good? There is no scholarships for retirement. There isn't. So we have to make sure that we're good. So again, I'm not saying cut your kids off, because I don't believe in that. Throw them out, cut them off. Yes, my car insurance is going up to over $400 because of my soon-to-be 20-year-old. Absolutely. So it's just like, what do we do? What conversations do we need to have to make sure we're good first? Because this is the first time, parents, mommies, that we actually put our needs first and not our children's. That's a whole new mindset for us. What do we do to protect ourselves and we're good first, and then our children? You know, driving is a privilege. It's not a requirement. What do we need to do to make sure? Because our whole time, you know what I'm thinking about? You know, Desiree just shared something. You know, the whole time we have just been miracle workers, like making it happen. Tiana, I'm sure your mom was the same way too. Like, whatever by any means necessary. But when do we stop the by any means necessary? And put that level of energy towards ourselves, but still the same way, get our children where they need to be. What do they need to know? What do we need to know? So last comment. So one of my favorite things in the contract, in the book, are the contracts, because it can be difficult as a parent to have tough conversations. I know when he'll kill me, my son, what about borrowing from the bank of you? To pay up debt after taking. We're gonna read that one, the mesh. My oldest son, Trevor, look at me telling all his business. He went to North Carolina A&T, sophomore year, lost his academic scholarship, right? I remember the day. Now, you think my son will be 32 years old. My husband went to pick him up on December 11th. I remember the day, and brought him home, and he did not return to A&T. That's how painful that day is. I remember the date today. And my husband said, you know, if he loses a scholarship, he's coming home. You know how you say it, you just kind of say it. I would have let him return to school and I would have figured it out. My husband was like, no, he's coming home. I wish I would have had a way before Trevor went to school and say, laid it all out. This is what's expected of you. This is what's expected of me. You lose your scholarship. Here are our deal terms right here. So that way, if he's doing good, I can high five him and say, you're holding up your end of the deal. Things don't go well. Now it's just like, we already agreed to these terms. So there's no tough conversation to be had. Like, you got to come home, boo. Or you got to transfer to another school. You have to do whatever. So he did go back to A&T and he finished. But at any rate, so I know what that is like. So I think I have been through just about every situation. As a single mother, I'm already teaching my 12-year-olds. They already know mommy is not signing. Honey, let me tell you something. My children would tell you probably when they were about 4 or 5, I started leaning in. I am not paying for you to go to college. By the time they're 10, 12, 15, mom, we know you're not paying for us to go to college. I'm not co-signing for anything. I'm not co-signing. I am not getting a Parent Plus loan. Here's the whole list of what I'm not doing, but this is what I will help you do. So anything academic, sports, I'm your girl, but all that co-signing, getting all that debt, I'm not doing it. So I already knew what I was or was not committing to. Do you know how many parent-child relationships are ruined over student loans? I have a very close family friend right now who is suing his daughter. Literally. Wow. She won't pay her student loans. He co-signed for them. Of course, they're coming after him. Their relationship is ruined. No, we have to do better than that. We have to do better. So we're so excited about the project.
You, ladies, for your patience, but wanted to share the layout of the book because you guys get the exclusive preview. Okay? This is the first time
Right.
anybody outside of our amazing subject matter experts have seen the book or the layout. So, you guys get a sneak peek. So I didn't want to skip that. So I'll show you this, Janai. You can talk through
Okay.
just kind of the thinking there, and
Okay.
then we'll dive into Q&A.
Okay. Thank you for Tiana for keeping us on track.
For sure. Okay. Drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please. And so this has been a labor of love. And, one thing to assemble the most amazing, most talented subject matter experts, but we also wanted the content to be beautiful. We wanted to be in Q&A format, because I know y'all are busy like us. Like, tell me what I need to know. Question, answer, question, answer. What are the vocabulary words that I need to know? What's the action that I need to take at the end? So this is actually Tiffany McKenzie. She's an attorney. She handled our legal section. And so this is really the layout of each chapter. There's going to be a story to kind of level set, to engage with you. Again, all the Q&A. We have a little mindfulness moment, all done by our very own Tiana Ridgway, to really get our minds right. Because, a lot of us just want to get to work. But we got to make sure that we get our heads right first. Then we can begin to approach the topic itself. So this is the layout of it. So we're highlighting each one of our subject matter experts. Their contact information is going to be there, their websites, Instagram, LinkedIn. So that way you'll be able to connect with them directly as well. So we're really proud of what we've put together. And we can't wait for you all to see the entire book. So we are going to come out the next couple of weeks, the electronic version only. And then by September, we're going to have the physical book ready. And so we are putting in some work, y'all. So I'm so happy with how beautiful it is, because I know, when you talk about money, it can be a little intimidating. Like, why can't y'all have a good, pleasant experience and have some color and some highlights and some notes, little post-it notes, little reminders? So I'm super proud of how beautiful it is. And I know y'all are gonna love it. So
Yeah.
Q&A time, Tiana.
Q&A time. All right. So I'm going to scroll up and start from the top. Feel free to jot down any other ones. All right, so Sequilla, I could be saying your name wrong. I'm sorry if I am. She said, I am a teacher. I have been depending on my credit card lately to pay for groceries. My limit is $2,500 and I am at $2,000. Should I pay it off when I get my taxes, or is it best to pay down monthly until I get to about $200?
My answer would depend upon, do you have any other extra money saved? Because I never want to see anybody have one life event, car problems, gotta get a root canal. Something happens where there's going to be this unexpected outlay of cash. So if you don't have anything else saved, I'd like for you to keep a little bit of it, but maybe you could take at least 1,000 of it and pay that card down, because those credit cards, we do want access to them. I'm not an anti-credit card person at all. Use mine all the time. But if something happens in life, I want to make sure that y'all can whip out that card and take care of something. I'm not saying order some new shoes. I'm talking about some real life happening that you need to be able to maneuver. So hold on a little cash if you don't have it. Definitely pay down that card too. But I want you to know, when I hear you say that you're using your card to buy groceries, there's a little warning sign that's going off for me. So I want you to kind of catch yourself right now. Like, what else do you need to do? Looking at your budget, is there something that you need to eliminate? What can we do to get your income up? Because you should be able to live off of the income that you have coming in. So if you're using your credit cards to float, for any of us, not just you, that's just a little warning sign. That's something trying to get our attention. All right. Thank you for that. And I thank you for being transparent, because a lot of people would not say that. So Thank you so much for saying that.
Absolutely. I think you might have addressed this question from Tamika, but just want to, in case you didn't,
Okay.
what advice do you give to paying off student loan debt? I know we referenced NFCC. Is there any other resources?
Those can be a little tricky, Tiana, whether we're talking about private or federally backed. So unfortunately for the private student loans, very few choices. Do not get them. Do not get them. Don't allow your children to get them. Do not co-sign for them. There's no flexibility. There is a website called Credible, Credible, Credible. They seem to be the most reliable site in order to refinance your student loans. Don't ever refinance your federally backed ones. Private ones, that's fine. You don't ever want to give up your federally backed status. So check out credible.com for your federally backed student loans. You do have some options because, you can have the income-based repayment plan. We're going to see what President Biden is going to do. But I would talk to nfcc.org just to see what they offer for their student loan counseling. I didn't say sign up. Talk to them to see what that student loan counseling involves.
Wonderful. Next question is from Tracy.
Okay.
She asks, do you recommend getting a loan from a bank and using it to pay all of your bills, i.e. mortgage, credit cards, car notes, etc.?
So what you're saying is debt consolidation. And so am I an advocate of debt consolidation only if the interest rate of this new loan that you're getting is lower than the other ones? Because a lot of times we just want things to be easy. Like, oh my God, I got to pay the mortgage. I got to pay these 3 credit cards. I got to pay this medical bill. We just want to make one payment. But are you actually saving money? Because that's why you do it. You don't do it just for the convenience of one payment. You do it because you're going to a lower interest rate. So that's what's going to drive that decision. So it's really about what interest rate are you currently paying versus what this new loan, what's this interest rate going to be? So please check that first. Don't just look for the convenience. Are you actually saving money?
All right, next up is Lamesh. I don't know if this is a question or a comment.
Okay.
But what about, this is when you were talking about the book,
Okay.
I'm assuming.
Okay.
And feel free, I know you're on the call, so feel free to chime in and take yourself off of mute if I'm not doing your question service. But what about borrowing from the Bank of You? I borrowed from myself to pay all debt after taking care of my ill mom for 7 years, 2 years of payroll deductions, but at 3.5%, and I still contribute to retirement while doing it.
So I hear what you're saying, but I'm not sure what the question is.
It might have been a response. Oh, just take herself off.
Okay. I'm like, give me the back pattern.
Yeah, I was just saying, rather than, I know people are quick to like get a line of credit or borrow from a bank, but if you constantly contributed to your 401k, most times I did a little research on it. My mother had a massive brainstem stroke and was left as a quadriplegic. So I became a caregiver to her for 7 years until she passed away. And I had amassed debt that I didn't have before, just caregivers and medical expenses and stuff.
Right.
So when I reached out to HR, just, was like, oh my gosh, what are my options? And she said, don't you contribute to 401k? And I said, yeah. She's like, well, look at how much you have in 401k, how much you owe, and see what it would be to borrow from the Bank of You. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh, instead of it taking me 5 years, I can do it in 2 years, still contribute to 401k and only spend 3% versus if I borrowed the money from another source. So, I mean, that's always an option if you can be disciplined enough to still contribute to your 401k and repay yourself back at a lower interest rate because it's much cheaper.
Right. Lamesh, I appreciate the fact that you say that. And one thing that I believe in is this saying is called spend it on paper first. So I would just weigh out all my options. Call HR. HR says I have $75,000. I can borrow 20%. My interest rate would be this. My payments back to myself would be X. I'd write all that out. Then I talk to my bank. Maybe there's a credit card that has some introductory rates. You know how you may have 0%, 1% interest for 6 months, 12 months. Like, what are all of my options? Look at that, weigh it all out, and then you'll know which one. I promise you'll know which one to do when you take a few minutes and write it all out and see it, versus just trying to do this basic math in your head and trying to gut check yourself. So people do that all the time. But again, what's the cost? What's the cost? And you have to return that money to yourself. But it's absolutely an option. You've done that for yourself. It's certainly a strategy. Thank you for sharing your story. Someone says, does it make sense for someone in their 40s to contribute to a Roth 401k? Absolutely. Oh, this is what I was going to say about the 529. And then Tiana, we're going to wrap up. Girl, it's almost 8:30. This is where moms always get upset with me, y'all. If you are not fully contributing to your retirement, if you're not maxing out your retirement, I personally, it's my personal belief, you should not be funding a 529 for your kids. You first. Tons of ways to pay for school. You are responsible for your own retirement. So if you are fully funding your retirement, now it's time to fund your 529. You got to make sure that you're going to be ready. So yes, whether you're doing your 401k at work, whether you're doing a Roth IRA, a combination thereof, I need you all to be very intentional about putting money away. I'm pro Roth, I'm pro 401k. So fully funding said, someone says that 19,000 annually, that literally should be the goal. Like, what is it going to take? And you're like, girl, I can only do half of that. Then do half. Janai, I can only do 25% of that. Then do 25%. Do what you can, but be intentional about increasing that amount maybe every 3 months, twice a year, that you're going to go from 2% to 2.5% or 3%. We got to keep working towards that. But again, now we're trying to take money away. We're trying to put some money in this 529 for the kids. Like, we got to double down for us first. Can my 14-year-old contribute to a Roth from her cookie business? You know what? I don't remember off the top of my head what the age is for IRA, but I believe that they can start as children. I'm a CPA by trade. I'm not an investment advisor. But I don't remember what the age is, but I do believe minors can contribute. But I don't know if their limits are any different than it is for us as adults. But I believe minors can contribute to a Roth IRA. I think it's a great idea. You imagine if our children started saving for their retirement early. Yeah, I got some great questions. So anything, Tiana, before we wrap up? This session has been good. Y'all don't know, I've had a long, tough day today. I know Tiana was about to have to scrape me off the floor earlier today.
Wanted to give you a hug.
Tiana was had to give me a hug today, but I'm telling y'all, the energy has been amazing. I didn't realize how much I needed this evening. I really appreciate y'all. And I'm grateful. And I'm honored to have an opportunity to be on this journey with you. Thank you for engaging with us. Thank you for trusting us. Thank you for being open and transparent with us. And please just engage with us. We are here to guide you and learn from you too. Y'all know some stuff too. We want to be able to have this be a two-way exchange. So we're so grateful for y'all. And anything about our programming for July you want to mention before we wrap up?
Yeah, so just stay tuned for more about the challenge. That will be our big focus. We will be sending out more detailed info. And then I don't want to miss some excitement about the book real quick. So Lamish asked, when can we pre-order the book? So stay tuned. We will send out more details about that. It is coming. We will let you know. And we have an exciting promotion. Okay, well, I feel like I got to give y'all the tea. So we are going to do, again, all exclusive because you're part of the community. We're going to do a very important parent promotion. So if you buy the book within the first 90 days, you will have an opportunity to win a one-on-one session with Jini and a subject matter expert of your choice based on the area that you want to focus on, that you feel like you or your grad want to focus on most. So stay tuned for that. We have some exciting things planned for the book launch. So you'll see in July, we're focusing on challenging the monthly expenses, but we're really going to be ramping up about the book and topics within that. So we don't have a ton of live programming, but definitely we'll be doing lives and like some Q&A so that you guys can get some engagement with us. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And then Luella asks, are we able to get a personalized copy signed? Haven't had that question, but love that. And we'll make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely going to do that. And I swear, Tiana, this is the last of the last of the last.
Last thing.
And like Lauren, you're going to have to be ready each time. We should be telling people about Black Women Will now that we have our dates.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So I promise y'all, this is the last thing we're going to talk about. Last year was our first year. We did Black Women Will, where we prepared wills for amazing Black, educated, professional, dope women like y'all for free. We did wills for free and healthcare directives for free in Georgia only. So if y'all out of state, it was Georgia only. We're going to be doing it. Is it November 5th? I got to get.
Yes,
November 5th. Thank y'all. So November 5th, Black Women Will, Impact Church. So we will let y'all know. I'm so excited. We're going to have a financial seminar this year. We're going to be preparing wills for free this year. So it's going to be amazing. It's going to be so amazing. I'm super, super excited about it. Shout out to the Mesh and her daughter for volunteering. Y'all were amazing last year. But yeah, we're going to need some help from the community. 80% of Black people die without a will. Did y'all hear what I said? Regardless of income. We're not going to talk about it. We have decided to come up with a solution. We can't do everybody's will, but we are going to prepare lots of wills this year. We're going to do some education. We're going to have a lot of fun. So November the 5th, y'all, Black Women Will is coming back. Oh, yeah.
That's the last thing for real.
Yeah. Okay. We're done for real, for real. Like we keep saying we're done, but like we're done for real, for real. So thank y'all. Have an amazing evening. Thank you, Desiree. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Tiana, the whole Thank Me Later team, and our true few, our community. Y'all are so amazing. Thank y'all for keeping us inspired, and y'all have a great night and have a great 4th of July weekend, y'all. Don't be too grown or a little grown, you know. Like my father says, if you're not gonna be good, just be good at it. Decide which one y'all gonna do. You're gonna be good or be good at it. Just pick one. But thank y'all very much. Have a great holiday weekend.
Thank you all. Thanks, Desiree, for chiming in.
Thanks, Desiree. Appreciate y'all.